Hi, and welcome back to insidetracks.co.uk, the website and YouTube video channel that tries to help in getting you to trade a bit smarter. Not trying to teach you how to suck eggs, but just trying to give you some of my experience that can help you. Please subscribe if you like this video and like it, or do add your comments. I can only get better as well. So today, what I'm going to look at is the issue of stop loss. A lot of people have asked me, in fact I got a comment from David on my YouTube about sometimes the strategy that you have doesn't work out the way you want it to, and what to do about it. Don't let your losses build up. Don't just allow yourself to let the losses build up. If the thing isn't working, then you need to get out. So what is a stop loss and how can it help you is what I want to focus on today. So I'm going to demonstrate the stop loss on one of the strategies that I outline in my videos. Please look it up. It's the Hugh Taylor trick. Hugh Taylor is tipster for At the Races. Here's his page on At the Races, and today we're at 12:38 on Saturday, and today he has got two tips at Southall. You can see that he did have a winner 8-1 on Thursday. Actually, the SP was 9-4. So the Hugh Taylor trick is this: that when he does tip a horse, he has a whole load of followers on Twitter and elsewhere, and those followers immediately back the horse disproportionately, because it's in the morning when he tips. Today he tipped at 9:29 and 9:40, and he tells you on Twitter he's going to put the tip up online in 5 minutes, and of course his loyal followers jump on it, and so if he's said teas made, let's see what he says you can get teas made at. Teas made, he's telling you that you can get teas made at 11-1 on Betfair Sportsbook, and Paddy Power and William Hill giving you 10-1. However, as you can see now, those odds are nearly half, 11-2 on Bet365. So his loyal followers jump on it in the morning, put a decent amount of money on, and the odds tumble. So what's the proposition? Well, obviously the proposition that most people are trying to do is to get on at 11 or 10-1. So they rush to Betfair, they rush to their online bookmaking accounts. As soon as the tip is issued online, they rush to them and stick as much money as they can on at as high a price they can. But of course, in the morning, there's very little money being backed on the horse already. So if I put £50 on, it's a big bet at that time of the morning. Whereas £50 5 minutes before is hardly even noticed at all. So what you find, the disproportionate movement in the price of the horse, and you wind up, very quickly with a massive decline. I'm going to show you that right now. So I pulled up the chart from Betfair for teas made, and we can see quite clearly. This is our friend Hugh. He's telling you when he's posted at 9:29 that teas made can be had at 11 or 10-1. Well, as we all know, this is where 10 or 11-1 is on Betfair, because you get 12 is 11-1, and here around about 9:20 you can get on Betfair teas made at somewhere around about 14. Okay, so someone's getting 14 up here. The tip is being issued on At the Races, and what's happened? Well, we've seen that's about 150, bit more than 150. That's about 200, 250. So there's a bunch of money comes on right after the tip, and those are his followers. So that's about £1,000 in the space of no time at all. Whereas before that, you'd hardly see any. The biggest bet you'd seen was a 50 quid bet there and a few £10 bets in here. So it's not surprising that when you get that £1,000 come on, that the price goes from about 14 right down. And you can see this is the lowest point here, which is 6.8. Quite a decent amount of money here. You can see there's 800s, there's 900s being placed, but certainly down here, this is the money that's been put on around about here. Okay, so we've seen a really decent amount of money come in and a massive fall in the price. Now, the strategy with Hugh Taylor and the trick with Hugh Taylor is to say, okay, wait till it reaches the bottom, okay, which is generally a bit after the initial drop, and then lay it and wait for it to actually go out. Okay, that's the trick. So, and by laying it at the bottom here, you're saying that drop there was disproportionate because this amount of money here is so large compared to the amount of money that's been on it before that is too steep a drop and it's got to come back out. And that's the theory and that's the strategy. And that's the strategy I use for making money out of a Hugh Taylor tip. I'm not trying to get 14 to 1 because I never do. And no one ever does, by the way. I mean, some people might claim they do, but they don't. Some might get in here, sort of 10s, 10.0s, but because it drops so rapidly within about a minute or two, and really most people are getting to 7.8, if they're lucky, 8s maybe, and then it's dropping down, and then it's coming back out. And you might as well wait for it to come back out. If you wanted to back it at 8s, you might as well wait for it to come back out. So the worst person is the person who's not only slow in getting onto the Hugh Taylor tip, but he's backing the horse at sort of 6 point. Whoever put on that £14 at 6.8 was the slowest man on the planet at following Hugh Taylor. Okay, so the theory is that now we have the strategy, so we know what we're doing. We're going into Hugh Taylor around about 9 o'clock in the morning, just after. And we're waiting for his tips to come out. Don't even have to come in then. We can come in. We can come in 9:30, 9:45. Doesn't matter, because we're not going for this drop. We're going for this bit here. We're going to see where it actually levels out, where it starts to drift out again. Okay, so we're waiting for this point here, and we're in the end, it happens most mornings. So I'm now going to show you a set of charts for Hugh Taylor, which I took and I've shown on the Hugh Taylor video, but I'll show you again here. So this is from my video on Hugh Taylor and the trick you can use. And I'm not very subtle about it. So there's someone here betting quite a lot of money just before the tip goes online between 12 and 7.5. As I say, just before the tip is published, and then the price hits 6 before recovering and ending at 11. So the result is that someone's backed the horse at average odds of 9.5, and they can lay the horse at average odds of 6.5. So they stand to win £3,000 if the horse wins, or they can basically go cash out and make several £100, well, 150, £200 or so. By cashing out at the low. So so someone is making money somewhere. I'm not quite sure who. So the theory is what we do is we come in here at the lowest point, we see it recovering, we then lay the horse in here in this particular part. And what we're saying is that we believe at this point, as it comes back out, we are going to see it continue to drift. So that's fine, that's our theory. Now, what do you do if that doesn't happen? And here is a typical example of where it drifts out and you think, oh, everything's dandy. And then it comes back in again because someone has come into it late. Maybe there's a couple of Hugh Taylor supporters who jump in and say, brilliant, it's 7.8 or 8 or whatever. We'll have a bit more of that and bring it back down to 6. So what's our strategy? And that could have gone like that, couldn't it? Quite easily. It could have come down and continue to come down, continue to be supported. At which point I'll lay bet at around about 7 or 6.5 or whatever, something like that. At that point, we would have lost money, wouldn't we? And David said that's what happens to him. You know, about 1 in 5 of Hugh Taylor's tips do actually get further backing, and of course, if they do get further backing, you stand to lose money. And someone somewhere also, the professional money, if it follows Hugh Taylor's tip, it may just be a matter of chance that they do follow Hugh Taylor's tip. It may be that Hugh Taylor, you know, he's not a bad tipster. To be frank, I'm not having a go at Hugh as a tipster. He can get some results, but if that happens and that continues to drop, and the professional money comes in after the horse, and then it goes on to win, you stand to lose a considerable amount of money because you're laying it at decent odds, 6 odd on Betfair, which is somewhere around about 5 to 1. So you're losing 5 times your stake if you allow that shortening of the price and then let it go in play, and then by the way, let it win. You're losing a lot of money. So what you need to do is to set a stop loss and say, right, I'm going to bet whatever I want to bet. Okay, so say I said I wanted to make 30. I put a bet of £30 at odds of 6 on this horse, right? And I said, fine, £30 is what I want to make it as a stake, and I'm going to look to cash that out up here at what's 11 or so. So I'm gonna get half my money as a win in that situation. So I'm going to make 15 quid if I can do that bet. So that's the best possible scenario for me. I'm betting that it's going to drift. I'm betting that it's going to drift out that way, and if it does, I make a decent amount of money. However, if it comes in, I want to stop any loss, and I want to stop that loss as quickly as I can. So if I bet at 6, 30 quid, I've got a liability of £150, 5 to 1 odds with £30, which is 150 quid. So I would say, well, where do I want to? What am I prepared to lose? What am I? If I'm liable to win 15 quid, what am I prepared to lose? And generally speaking, you'll pick a point that you're comfortable with. I would say my stop loss, if I backed it at 6, my stop loss would be something like 5, which would give me a 1 point loss on my money. Okay, which is £3. Okay, so if I set my stop loss here and accept the fact, so what you do is you then put in a back bet at 5s or 5.0, and you cover your exposure with that bet, and you wind up with a small loss, which then you cash across the board to give you an overall loss of about 3 quid. Okay, so that's how it works. So what we do is, if we back it at 6 and we say, great, we think it's come out of that, we think it's leveled out, we think it's going to come back up here, and we think it's going to go out this way, we lay it at 6, we put our stop loss bet in here, and we say, right, if it gets down to 5, we're going to back it with that bet, and we're going to take a loss. Okay, so then what you do is you let your bet ride, and you accept that there's going to be some up and downs, as you see there is, and it's not a typical chart. Charts can do all sorts of things, but if it does come down to 5, then we'll take a loss, and we'll say that's it, we're fine. We'll take the loss, we'll take the 3 quid loss. But if it doesn't get to 5, we just let it run, okay? And then at a certain point before the race, we'll take our money, or we can cover our exposure and let the rest ride. We can do all sorts of things, because actually there's several ways to do this bet. If I had a possible £15 gain here, I could actually allow not take that money. I could allow my bet to I could put a back bet on and just cover my exposure and allow the rest to ride. So that's what we do with a stop loss. Now I've got other charts here, which I can show you, and I'll just do that other Hugh Taylor charts, and I'll show you what the difference is. So here we see that again we see that someone has bet on the price before 9:43 to 9:45, but the actual selection was not put online until 9:48. So someone's put a decent amount of money on just before the 9:49 the selection was published on At the Races. So I don't know what's going on. Someone somewhere is getting the information. So we see this big drop because of this betting activity. Then it comes down to about 10. Then it comes out. We see it sort of settling at just over 10, 10.5, something like that. So what we're going to say is we're going to expect that to go back out at this point in the morning. We're going to say, all right, we think it's going to go out there, yeah. So we'll lay this horse at 10.5, and we'll put in a stop loss at say 9.5 or 9, something like that. So put a stop loss in at 9, and then we'll hope that it does that. However, what we do see is this just bumbles along like that, and in fact, this was a chart that was actually taken in the morning, and this horse, in fact, did bumble along and never hit 9, and never really got much more than 10.5. And therefore, what happened there was I cashed out for a very, very tiny gain, because I took it about 12.5, somewhere like that. It was down the line here. I just took a very, very small profit. And that's fine. Nothing lost, nothing gained, or very, very small gain. Now let's take another chart. Here, again, activity before the off. The price plummets from 6 to 4.5. We see it go out. So we're in here somewhere at around about 4.8. And we put a stop loss in at say 4. Yeah. And we'd accept that loss. So now we're waiting for it to go out, and in fact it did go out, and we made about one point, a bit more than 1 point on our money, which is fine. It's not huge amounts, but it's just a nice little earner that you can make. And we've got the stop loss in there, and we take the money. Next one. Here we see, again, it drops rapidly from sort of the 8.5 right down to 5.2. We're getting in here at sort of 5.6, something like that. We'll put a stop loss in down here at about 4.5, something like that. And we'll let that sit there, and we'll then let that go. And in fact, when the professional money comes in, what happens? It whips out to 7, and we make a very decent little amount of money at absolutely virtually no risk, because we've got the stop loss in there, so we've got a little bit of a chance of making a small loss, but we don't. We make a profit. Here now, this is where your stop loss probably comes in. Here's your activity, comes in. We get right down to sort of 7. Yeah, price at 7, and then we would probably put a stop loss in at 6. Yes. 7, 6 power point. It depends what your liability, what you are able to take. I generally go with about 10%, bit more than 10%. So if you say it's 7, then I'll go for a 1 point drop. If it's 6, I'll go for just slightly less than a 1 point drop. 5, I'll go for slightly less than that. But generally speaking, go for around about 10 to 15% of the price, and put your stop loss in there. What happens is that this horse continues to go down, continues to be backed, and so you cash out at 6.5. You take a 0.5 loss, which is a very, very small loss. Okay, so it's less than 50p for every £10, and that's the one we just saw where we were. So in all those scenarios, you can say, okay, I am in the situation there. I have been prepared to take a small loss at any point. However, in those 4 examples, that hasn't happened. I'm not saying it doesn't happen ever. It will. So if that particular one, instead of going down, so go back up to it, shall we? We'll go back up to this one, and we'll have a quick look again at it. If this had continued to drop down here and got down to your 6, then we'd have to take the 1 point loss, and we have to accept that is the loss we're going to make on this particular laying strategy. However, we're taking a 1 point loss, whereas in all the others, we've taken a small gain or quite a large gain, and you're waiting for this one to come up, where in fact you're laying it off at about 6.5, and you're getting right out at double that, so you're making a very decent profit. And that's the way to do it. There'll be really good profits coming, there'll be smaller profits coming, and then occasionally you're going to have to take a small loss, but that's the way that trading works, doesn't it? So back to today, and we see that T's made has come down here. What we're going to do, and we have done, is we put in our lay bet just under 7.5, 7.4 we put in, and we're waiting now. We've got a stop loss at 6.4, maybe slightly below. I think I put 6.2, so 6.2, and now we've seen it. The prices go out. It's never hit 6.2 so far, and it's trading currently around about 8.4. So we've got a 1 point gain in the bag. My expectation with this one is that it's potentially going to do that and go out, and I might be able to get about 11. And if I can get about 11, I'll be making about a 15 to 20 pound profit on this one horse, which I think by anybody's standards, £20 before you even start your trading day is a perfectly decent amount to have in the bank, and can be a nice buffer. So that's what we do. We're going to have a nice little buffer there, put a decent little lay bet in here, have a stop loss down here, and just wait for it to do its stuff. Now, if in fact this does do this, down, then I will make a 1 point loss, and that will be about £4 or so that I'm going to have to take as a loss, maybe less than that. So these are the things to think about, and this is how you think about a stop loss. Is you have a strategy, you say, this is what I think is going to happen. And you can do this with anything. I mean, this is my Hugh Taylor trick. By the way, I do advise you to have a look at the full video on the Hugh Taylor thing, because it'll give you some further insights into what goes on. But this is what you do with any strategy. So if you think that a horse is going to be a good back to lay, then it's perfectly okay to say, right, fine, I'm going to back this horse just before the off. I'm going to take as good a price that I can get in the last 5 minutes. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a stop loss in to stop me losing money if the thing falls out the stalls or doesn't lead, or whatever my strategy says it should do. So often you'll see in my tipping service, I'll give you a back to lay and I'll say, look, this horse has a great chance of leading because it's in stall 1 at Chester in a 5 furlong race, and it's very quick and it likes to lead. So my strategy is that this horse will shorten in running because it's got stall 1, because it's quick out of the stalls, and because stall 1 is right on the rails, and if he can get out in the lead and get around the rails first, he's got a much better chance of winning. And of course, if he's got a better chance of winning in the run and he's out there in front, then people in running will back it, and the price will shorten considerably, and then you'll have made your money on your back to lay, because then you can lay it off at a shorter price you choose, and that will give you your profit. Now, say the horse in drawn 1, who's normally speedy at Chester, falls out the stalls, or the jockey takes his head mask off, hood off late, and he doesn't lead. Well, then put your stop loss in and cash out early, and make a small loss as soon as you can. Okay, as soon as your strategy goes wrong, get out. So what I'm saying here is we're saying the strategy is this drop is too big. It's now got to go out because that's too much of a drop. So it's got to go out. We'll put in a lay bet here. We'll have a stop loss down here. And if that doesn't happen and it goes like that, then we're covered. We're not going to make a loss. We're not going to see our money continue to make a loss. Let the horse go in running and then make a thumping 5 times our stake loss, which will wipe out any profits you've had for the month and possibly even for several months. So one bad bet can knock out lots of smaller bets. Yes. So that's what you've got to remember with trading is don't allow those really bad bets to go because you're hoping that the horse is going to lose and you've allowed it to go and play and you're already going to lose money and you might as well not cash out because you would want it to, you're sure it's going to go out. The evidence in front of you is not. The evidence in front of you is actually Hugh Taylor's picked one that also the professionals have picked. So actually, if it does come in further, it's really a big sign that not only has Hugh Taylor got it right, but the professional money also is saying he's got it right. So heed it and don't just shut your ears and hope for the best. All right. So I hope that that's helped. Stop losses, stop loss vest can be very, very useful. Set your stop loss level. I do about 10 to 15% below where I back it, but it depends on the strategy. With a back to lay, for instance, it could be more. But generally speaking, put your stop loss where you're comfortable. What's not too far down. Where you think the price has gone, if you said to yourself, if the price goes here, then my strategy that it's going to go a completely different way is probably wrong. At that point, you should be saying, I'm getting out, not, well, never mind, I'm right and the market's wrong, because the market probably knows more than you do. So what's a stop loss? It's to stop you allowing yourself to have one bad bet ruin your trading. And it can help you be disciplined in saying, my strategy was this, and I don't just follow my strategy blindly. I have to admit when the strategy is wrong, and I'm going to admit that before it happens, because I'm going to say, if we reach this price, then I'm getting out. Okay? Good. Well, I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it makes sense, and I hope that it helps you in your trading. If you want to, please do subscribe to the service and like this video if you do, comment if you have something to say that could help me, and I would hope to see you on the next one.